Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bold and Blonde update. Today, I am joined by Richard Corgan from STAC, based out in London, which is, so far away from my little area right now in New York City. We're both stuck in quarantine because of coronavirus. I'm on a couch, and he's in his studio looking like a badass. But yeah, so I'm going to introduce Richard. Richard, please say hello, introduce yourself, all the good stuff.
Hi, I'm not sure I'm feeling very badass, but I am in my studio, so that was correct. It's mad that we can do this, and this is our only way of sort of connecting with the industry at the moment is sort of via Zoom links. But we'll make the best of it, as us actors are always proactive. We'll make it work, right?
Yeah. So STAC stands for Self-Taping Acting Coaching.
Self-tapes, auditions, and coaching.
There you go. Yeah, and I think, it was such a pleasure meeting you back in London only a few months ago, which now feels like so long ago. Yeah, when I was in London, when I met you back in February, coronavirus was just a kind of like, people were freaking out. I remember I had a cab driver that took me back from the Harry Potter studio tour, because where else would I be? Driving me back, literally talking about how worried he was. And I had coughed in the back of the car, and he was like, how do you know she doesn't have coronavirus? So it was very interesting to see now, look where we are, but we're able to do so much. So what have you been doing during this period of time?
I've been doing everything because I run the studio and I'm an acting coach. So I work with a lot of actors, and I'm able to do that online, but I'm still an actor myself. I still do that too. Luckily, I was able to finish a big job just before all this closed down. We were really scared when we were shooting that any day someone was going to come in and say, right, we're shutting down, but we managed to get the series shot. And so hopefully if they can get us in for some ADR and things like that, that'll come out pretty soon. So I was managed to do that, but with the coaching, I'm able to do quite a bit of that online. I've done sort of 3 or 4 sessions today. Which is really good, but I'm also directing online. So I've been directing some Shakespeare for a couple of the theatres that are struggling in the UK at the moment. There's obviously there's no income for the regional theatres, or any of the theatres really, but the regionals are really struggling. I read a worrying article this morning that they say that if this carries on for the rest of the year before they can get any box office revenue generated, that a lot of the theatres, in fact the vast majority of them, will probably close. So I've been doing as much as I can, as much as one person can, for creating some content and some things for different theatres. So I've been directing actors online, getting them to shoot different things, and then they're sending it to me to edit, and then theatres have been putting that out, which has worked pretty well and generated a little bit of income, I think. What else have I done?
Yeah, no, I think you sent me a few of them. The one with Iago, that was so great. So how are you directing online? That to me is such a unique experience. How do you get into the mindset of directing people online when you can't, read off them so well? It's not in person.
Well, it's tricky. I think you can spot the truth in any medium, really. And so your job as the director is to find that truth. And we're very perceptive animals, so we can perceive the truth and what is not the truth very, very easily. So actually the director's job doesn't change. It's about connecting with your actor, working with them, and making sure that we're leaving no stone unturned, and making sure the actor has has all the information they need in order to make bold and fun choices in the pieces that they're doing. So actually the job doesn't change too much. Obviously, what you're not doing is blocking. You're not moving people around and making sure they're not bumping into the furniture. But in essence, the job of a director doesn't really change, because you're planning the big picture of how things are going to look afterwards, and you're helping the actor find their truth and find their way through a subject matter and a script. So it's been good, actually. I've really quite enjoyed it. Really good.
That's amazing. One thing I keep telling people, because a lot of the conversations I've been having is about content creation and continuing to perform and utilizing this time that we have inside to really grow yourself and invest in yourself and develop your creative energy and nurture it in a way that you couldn't before, because everyone says they don't have the time. And one of the biggest questions people ask me is, how do you get started on being on video? And it's really about telling the truth and being authentic and coming through, because right now, our camera, some of us, it's on a computer, some of it's on our phone, or it's, if you're lucky enough to have a great setup, you have your setup, but telling the truth is always crucial. And I'm sure that really helps with the self-taping that you do. So how has the self-taping business been affected for you? There been an increase in it? I know you're doing a lot of coaching, which is great.
Well, I mean, self-tapes, industry-wide, are the only way to audition at the moment. Because obviously you can't go into a studio. For me, obviously the studio is just not in use because people can't come to me for tapes, but they can come to me for the audition preparation workshop. They can come to me for advice on framing, on editing, on all those different things, which I can still give online, which is fine. But people can't come into the studio and shoot them at the moment. So with self-tape being literally the only way we can audition at the moment, it's really important that people hone that skill. So if I'm talking to the actors who are watching this video, I'd say get practicing your self-tapes, because for the foreseeable, that's the only way you're going to get to audition. So look at framing. There's lots of YouTube tutorials on basic editing. There's some really good free software out there. If you've got a Mac, you've got iMovie. Or there's a great one for Windows, DaVinci.
Oh yeah, DaVinci.
Yeah, which is really, really good. So get used to sort of some basic editing techniques so that you can top and tail your scenes really nice, and add some titles and just have a look at some YouTube tutorials on lighting, because they'll really help you. And if that's the only way we can be seen at the moment, then we need to get good at it.
It's so funny you say that, because I loathe self-tapes. I'm one of those actors that I hate self-tapes, which is so funny, because a lot of the auditions that we do, especially for TV and film, when you go into the room, they're taping you anyway, but you have a reader. I'm very lucky that I'm quarantined with my friend who's a fellow actress, and we're producers, so we see it from multiple angles, and I'm able to work off of somebody. But for someone like me who hates it, or someone who's just getting used to self-taping, what are some tips that you could tell people?
Well, I'd say first of all, try and read it with an actor. It's what they're looking for a lot of the time for a TV or a movie job. It's not just how you speak your lines, it's how you listen. And obviously reading with a good actor is going to give you the opportunity to feel more, to react more, than reading it with, say, your mum or whatever. And I think that you'd be better off doing it over a Zoom or a Skype than reading with somebody who's not an actor at all. What you can do in that situation is you can get the person on the other end to download an app called Voice Record Pro. I think it's free, and you can get them to record sound the other end as well. And if they send you that sound file and you get a pretty good at editing, you can actually drop that sound file in so it sounds like they're in the room with you, but then you get to read with an actor. So I've been doing that for quite a few people, which has worked quite well.
That's amazing. How has there been an intake or an increase in auditioning right now? I know here in the States there's been a lot of self-tape requests. A lot of casting directors are doing these like monologue challenges, which is great and encourages people to create while in quarantine, but we're still finding jobs. There are jobs out there, but how is it, like, what is happening in the UK right now when it comes to the acting community and jobs?
It's quiet. It's a struggle. So the stuff, I'm still an actor, and the stuff that, in fact, I've got a tape to do straight after this for myself. Yeah, which is good, but it's slow. It's really, really slow. There's not a lot going on, which is why it's really important to stay creative in other ways. So I'm lucky I'm quarantined with my friend and colleague who is a sound guy, and I've got my cameras and equipment. So we've been shooting some stuff and putting it out there to keep us busy. But in terms of auditions coming in, exterior auditions coming in, it's really quiet. It's really, really quiet. I think this is my second tape in the last 6 weeks that I've had to hand in myself, and I've had a couple of little voice things come in, but it's really quiet in the UK, really quiet.
So how are you staying creative during this time? I know that that's one thing a lot of people watching this would want to know. People are feeling stuck. I know that I felt really stuck. If I wasn't working with my friend and colleague, I don't know, I would probably be very stir crazy. But how are you staying motivated at this time?
Well, I did an accent class yesterday, a 3-hour accent class.
That's awesome.
Unfortunately, on the class, yeah. So on General American, I'm not going to show you what that sounds like.
Oh, you have to now. I'll do a really bad British accent if you show me.
Apparently, my L's aren't good enough to put it out in public yet. So I've got to work on my L's, apparently. But a great guy, great coach. I thoroughly recommend him. And I'm going to find his name for you now. I worked with him yesterday. His name is, and I've lost it, Cameron Bernard Jones. He's from New York.
Oh,
and really good. Yeah. And so, yeah, I did a 3-hour class with him yesterday, which was fantastic. So I've got to actually do my homework on that now. So I've been staying creative by doing class, also taking class, teaching a lot of people. So on Monday, there's a big theatre company in the UK called Payne's Plough, which are fantastic for new writing. And I'm doing a class actually for them on Monday for their writers, because their writers now have to submit via video. And obviously writers, they're not used to being on camera, they're not used to self-taping. So I'm coaching them through that on Monday. What else am I doing? Been making some shorts, as I've said, directing for various different theatres, lots of coaching. The career development stuff has gone really wild, actually. So that's something that we offer through STAC, and it's about working one-on-one with an actor, identifying their place in the industry and see how we take them to that next level. And that's done through marketing, and that's done through identifying type. I hate the word type. But really introspective, really being introspective and looking at what that is, and not looking at it as an aesthetic thing. It's a feeling. It's how you feel. Type comes from in here. I truly believe that. So identifying that and then making sure we're marketing that correctly, so that when we do come out of lockdown, we're hitting the ground running and putting ourselves up for the right jobs. Because a lot of actors go into the rooms for things that they're not right for, and therefore are not at their best, but that's how the casting director and director remembers them. So it's making sure that we're putting ourselves out there in the right way.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think one thing anyone can do right now is really understand what they want out of their career and who they are out of their career and where they want to get to from their career. I think that, what you're talking about, I completely agree. Type, I believe, is from the heart. It's not how you look aesthetically. That's one of the biggest issues that I think we even have here. It's nice to know that it's universal. How do you work with an actor one-on-one with your career development through STAC?
It's a lot of sort of getting to know you, really. And it's the first thing we need to do is build a rapport. And just really sort of get them to think introspectively, to throw away everything that everyone's told them about type, about their type. Because one thing that this industry loves to do is pigeonhole you really, really quickly.
Definitely.
And if you get pigeonholed into the wrong hole really early, you're stuck with that for the rest of your career. Or, certainly for a long, long time. So identifying what makes you tick as an actor, as a human being, what are those parts that make you incredibly excited, that you have to play, that you have to get up and speak? What are those parts that you are awesome at? What have you absolutely smashed out the park before? And identifying what they are. It's not about what you look like. I truly believe it's not about what you look like. It comes from here. One of the silly analogies, I've got a lot of them, that I use is, if you went to a prison and you walked down, I don't know, death row, and you looked in every cell on the way, you'd see tall people, short people, big people, small people, blonde people, brunette people, black people, white people, all these different human beings, and they've all got that within them. And that is their type. And so it's learning how to identify that in ourselves and market that correctly.
Well, I'm glad you didn't say pink people.
Well,
you never know. What a unique perspective. I've never heard that analogy before, but it does make a lot of sense, because it's all about the feeling.
Box, I made it up, so sorry if it's weird.
No, I think I'm going to use it now. I'm going to steal it from you, and I'll say I got it from Richard. So you work with these people one-on-one, and right now I think, actors could really, once they understand their type, through career development, they could really develop a, library of content that they can showcase those skill sets right now. Have you been doing a lot of that with people?
100%. I think, especially people who are fairly new to the industry, they won't have a lot of content. They won't have been in many TV shows or movies or anything like that.
And not now.
What's that?
And it's not going to happen right now either.
Exactly. So we've got to remember that to a casting director or to a new agent or manager, when you're approaching them, yeah, it's great if you're a great actor. Yes, it is. But almost more important than that is to be a really good auditioner. Mm-hmm. Because that's how they're going to make their money, right? That's how a casting director and agent is going to make their money. And also, if I'm a casting director or an agent and I'm thinking about sending you into a room, mm-hmm. I want to know that you're going to represent me well in that room.
Definitely.
I want to know that you're going to make me look good. And we know that by you being an awesome auditioner. And we can prove that we are good at auditions by shooting a really good self-tape. So we can use that now as marketing material. Mm-hmm. It's not something I would personally want to put out there for the world, but to send directly to casting agents and directors and managers and things like that and say, look, this is how I would represent you in an audition situation. I think there's a really clever way of marketing at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I'm always concerned that I don't have like the right skill set as an actor beyond just being like really understanding the text, right? There's the normal baseline, like make sure you understand your text, make sure, you comprehend the character's objective, how it relates to you, the idea that if you're hungry, the character's hungry. Like, how are you relating to the text? How is that translating on the other end? How are like your listening skills, I think is very important. A lot of actors I see is a lazy tactic. They forget to listen. But, being a great auditioner, that's another really strong skill set that right now people, are used to being great auditioners in the room. Because I love working with people and it's easier for me to read off people's energies in the room. But there are so many other things that now for this new normal and my new normal, my career, I'm not used to. What are, in your opinion, since you're doing this on a daily basis and have been, are some of the top misconceptions that actors have about self-tapes and the skill sets that they should have through having self-tapes?
I think when I have people in the studio here, people spend so much time worrying about what they look like.
Yeah.
Worrying about angles, worrying about lighting, all the stuff that they're paying me to do.
Mm-hmm.
They as actors, we love doing other people's jobs for them when we don't need to. Yeah. So worrying about all this stuff. Your only job is to tell the truth. That's your only job. Yeah. The lights, all that sort of stuff, get it done the day before. Get that all set up the day before or a few hours before, and then concentrate on the one thing that is your job, and that's telling the truth. Yeah. Everyone concerns themselves with a million different things, eye lines, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. If you're paying somebody to do that for you, trust that they'll do it and get on with your job. Go back to the script. Yeah, play the part. If you're doing it yourself, get all that done. Get all that out the way and done and set up the day before or the night before you want to shoot it or whatever. So you don't have to think about that. All you got to do then is go in and press record. And then you can get back to doing your job, which is to tell the truth.
To tell the truth. I think we should just put that on like a bumper sticker or a billboard. Just tell the truth.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's the biggest note I always give. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Listen, tell the truth. Yeah.
For those at home that can't come into a studio, because no one can right now, but they can, of course, work one-on-one with you with your coaching. What are some like maybe equipment tips that you recommend, like a basic setup for someone that's maybe a novice? Like you and I have equipment, right? But to someone who's new, they might not have a softbox and a nice, screen.
Well, I've got I call it my wash back kit that I take away when I go away somewhere, which is conveniently placed just here. So
I love it. Yeah, I'm excited to see it.
So if I'm going away, if I'm filming away or I'm in a hotel for a while, I take these things with me, all right? I normally take a couple of lights because I'm weird like that, but I do. Right. So
if you know how to light, I know for a fact that if you know how to light and you love lighting, you're going to want to take your lights with you all the time. I've already learned that lesson because you're like, this makes me look gorgeous. Right?
Well, I don't think I've ever made myself look gorgeous, but I certainly like myself to make myself look less. Like this. I haven't lit myself today, by the way, you can probably tell. So the first thing I've got is my travel backdrop. Now this is, believe it or not, a camping towel, a microfiber towel. It's a big old towel that I bought on the internet.
Gotta love internet shopping.
Yeah, thank you. So it's a big old towel, right? And I will hang that somewhere in the hotel room I'm going away to. That comes with me in my suitcase. A backdrop's really, really important. Personally, I really like grey as a backdrop. White can punch you too far out of it, and we can lose you a little with a much darker backdrop. So I really like a grey backdrop. So that's a really good thing to.
Me as well.
Yeah, but you can use that at home. And if you want to fork out, then I love the Lastalite backdrops. I think they're really great. They pop up. You can stick them behind your wardrobe if you need to afterwards, but they're really, really good. Another little tip, which is a really good one, if you're not traveling with lights and things like that, get a phone holder for the car.
Oh.
One of those.
Oh, this with the suction cups on it.
With the suction cap. And then you can stick it to a window and you've got natural light.
Oh, that's such a nice tip versus like taking a ring light with you and everything. Yeah. And natural light is great, so.
Yeah, natural light is great. So that's a good little thing. And obviously it comes with one of these, which you can stick to the top one of those mini tripods. They're really handy, the ones with the bendy legs, because you can wrap them around a lamp if you need to. Yeah, and therefore, so you're doing some make, do, and mend lighting. But even more important than the basic equipment, just get it doesn't take long, honestly, but just get a little bit au fait with some basic editing. On sort of iMovie or any other software, really. It doesn't have to be advanced software. You just need to be able to trim off the beginnings and ends, play with color a little bit until you're happy. There's no hard and fast rules to that. Just make it look how you want it to look. And you'll do that from experimenting and just pop a little title at the end. But that is my sort of, that comes with me wherever I go, really.
I think it's the emergency audition kit.
My emergency audition kit. Yeah, but obviously when I'm at home, my studio's at home, so I just get to do them in a normal setup usually, but that's my emergency kit.
For someone that's not as seasoned as you when it comes to, you know, the editing of it.
Call me old.
And I'm not calling you, I'm calling you experience. I'm not calling you old.
I'll take that.
Okay. No, because I you know, I do some basic editing. I have Premiere and I use iMovie on my phone in a pinch. But for those who aren't good at that, I've noticed that here in the States, at least, a lot of the casting directors and producers who are doing some of these audition things, which I have a love-hate thing. I think it's inspiring, but I also think like they had an open call for NCIS in the States and they had like 68,000 submissions. I'm glad that people are submitting, but I don't really, I'm not really concerned that everyone's watching it, but I think it's great that people are getting into a routine of self-taping. But quality is something that they've mentioned. Like, we don't care. It doesn't have to be crazy high quality. Do you see where you are right now that quality is being an issue? I think that if you're, you know, telling the truth is there, it might be good.
I think you are seeing a difference in quality to what people submit. So if I'm casting something, I get sent tapes and there's a huge difference in quality. What happens is then the good ones make you put your coffee down and watch.
Yeah.
So it's very important to. Do you mean quality in terms of a quality performance, like or quality as in?
I think quality performance will always rise to the top. I think when talent is there, and you know the passion and the storytelling is really authentic, I think it always rises to the top. But I meant quality in terms of technical quality. Like, it might not be.
Yeah, it just makes you look, doesn't it? It just makes you pop your coffee down and watch. You know, immediately. It just sets it that little bit more apart from the ones who've done it on their phone and got their mum to read
and done this. Oh yeah, don't get your parents. Let's just put a nice announcement. Don't get your parents to read with you if it's a last resort. I've done that before. My mom like freezes up.
It could be traumatic, you know. If your dad said, you know, Morgan Freeman, go for it. But
I mean, yeah, for some people that works. You know. Or you could work with someone like yourself who's a coach and you walk them through it. Would you help them read? Like, would you do that with them as well?
Yeah, so people pay me to do all sorts with them, really. I've got actors who pay me to go on set with them and coach them in their trailer before they walk out. I've got actors who come in for audition preparation work. I've got actors who come in and say, look, coach me for an hour and then shoot me for an hour. So I work to what the actor needs, really. So we just have a conversation about that, work out what it is that somebody needs a bit of help with, and then I tailor what I do to that.
You're just the best. But for now, though, like when people come for you for self-tapes now, in this weird situation that we're in, do you work with them? Like, I know that you mentioned that you recommend getting a great reader. If you have someone that could record it with you, would you do that with one of your people that you're coaching with?
Well, I can't have anyone in the studio at the moment.
No, I meant like online, like if they want to record something online, but they
Yeah,
want.
absolutely. So what I said earlier about recording sound the other end as well.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, they've got into a habit of just using me for self-tapes, and they feel a bit lost that they can't now. And so they say, look, can you just do it with me over Skype, and I'll shoot it my end, but can you read with me? And I'm like, yeah, sure, yeah. So we do that, and then I record sound my end, and they send me the files, and then I make it look as nice as their equipment will allow it to look.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and then we send it off that way, so they get a similar experience to when they come into the studio. Obviously, it's not going to look as good because they tend to be doing it on their phones, but I talk them through framing, and I talk them through, what would work for this specific piece, because there's certain things that you want to film tighter, and certain things you want to film wider. And you also have to take into account the brief that the manager or casting director has given you, because they all want different things these days.
Yeah, pretty much.
So we just look at all that and make sure they're submitting the best quality piece they can.
One of the things I loved when I met you, and I'm so glad that we're friends now, is the fact that I think it's great that you give your expertise, like you share it willingly. It's not like people need to just throw money at you for you to help them. Like, you're so open with that. And I think that's what we need right now as a creative community, is people that we all want to become successful in this world. I think it's great that even the people that you coach with, you were like, hey, I want to teach you about framing. Like, you can't come here right now. It's fine. I want you to have the best chance at success to get the goal, which is to book the part. I think it's awesome because a lot of actors don't really know about framing. They don't really know like how to do a 2-shot, how to do a close-up, what's the best angle for your face, and lenses. And sometimes they shouldn't really focus about that. That's, like you said, your job. But I think it's great that you're teaching them, because that's gonna, like, actors right now, I think, feel so lost that they don't know where to go, what to do. They think that they have to hire someone hundreds and hundreds of dollars in a time when no one's really making money. So it's great to know that they have a support system when they come to STAC like that.
For sure. I think I've always had this. My dad said something to me when I was young. He said, if you work hard, money will come.
Exactly.
And when I told him I wanted to be an actor and not a ceramic tiler, even though I did do that for a while, he said, look, you do whatever you want, boy, but don't be lazy. And that's some of the best advice I think I've ever had. And I think I don't feel it necessary to always charge people for bits and bobs of information. Don't get me wrong, I make money out of what I'm doing, but it's not the be all and end all of the creative industry. I think we need to help each other out. It's a creative industry, and we're creative together. And so we need to look after each other, scratch each other's backs, give each other time and help. And in terms of giving away tips on, an interview like this, it's fine. I think we've all got to be open and pass it. That's how the industry grows, by gained knowledge, and I'm certainly not afraid of it outgrowing me, because I know I'll work hard and I'll always stay on top of it.
Definitely. I think that's why you have so many people. Like, when I'm on the STAC social pages, I see everyone always has the most gracious things to say about you. The fact that the team at STAC is so supportive and really helps out. And I think that's a testament to how you run your business. The fact that you're here to help people. It's not about, being a self-tape cat, pumping out it every 5 seconds. It's about really helping people grow their careers, because that's what this industry is about. Auditioning is an interview technique. You want people to know how to do that so they become very successful. So it's wonderful to see that and see all the wonderful people that you have. You have a lot of great, interesting names on that you've done self-tapes for.
Thank you so much for that. That really means a lot, because the reason I set up STAC in the first place was for it to be a comfortable, affordable place for actors to be able to do what they do. And that's really, really important to me. So the fact that that you've seen that happening means means the world. Yeah, thank you.
Oh yeah, I stalk your Instagram all the time, so it's great. You mentioned that you.
So tell your followers to all give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all that. That'd be
Oh
great.
yeah, we're gonna put all the information. I'm gonna have it all over the place, so it'll be good. Because everyone should look at STAC to kind of see the differences in how you work with everybody. Speaking of though,
And
you
the
said
beauty of doing this means I can coach you in the States
yeah,
from
coach in the
London.
States.
There you go.
I think to me, it's so exciting to be able to connect to people worldwide. Like I love the fact that you have a different perspective, because when we met, I was very adamant about the fact that I'm trying to work in the UK and it's completely different. You guys have a very different organization. Like you have Spotlight where we have Actors Access, and Spotlight has like, you need to have a certain, level of experience to even be considered. I think it's, unique to say that although the jobs are there, the pathway to those jobs is very much more regimented, I would say, in the UK.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to understand how technique is modified from, one country to the next. So that's why one of the reasons I really like working with you and talking to you is to understand that. Here we have so many commercially things, and I think in the UK I've seen you guys are very steeped into really diving in and marinating yourself with every aspect. Not that we don't do it here. I sound like I'm hating on my country. I'm not. I love the kind of stuff that's coming out of the UK right now. Speaking of, working with people internationally and, the difference between working with TV and film right now, there are a lot of theater actors, and you mentioned a lot of theaters in the UK where I feel like this new normal is very foreign to them. Like as a theater actor myself, I'm also doing TV and film, but for people that are straight shot theater who do pretty much only theater, how have you seen them kind of modify, or have you had any kind of seeing any hurdles they've had to jump because they're trying to get used to self tapes?
Well, I think to answer the first part of that, I think for me, I always encourage actors to be actors. I don't even like the term actors because it implies a lie, but I like actors. Sorry, but actors should not worry about the medium.
Mm-hmm.
The medium is secondary. Theatre, film, television, radio, whatever. Your job's the same. Tell the truth. That's your job. That's what I always encourage. So but in terms of the people who mostly do theatre, it's a struggle because there's no theatre. There is no theatre, and so people have to diversify. But as I said, I feel that shouldn't be a big jump. The only difference between doing screen work and playing in a theatre is you don't have to hit the back row.
Yeah.
That's literally the only difference. And I think people see screen work as a restrictive medium. So people who describe themselves as theatre actors, they see screen work as a restrictive medium. Actually, you've got more options because you can do that small stuff that you can't do in the theatre. So the job is the same. So I'd advise anybody who sees himself as a theatre actor to just see themselves as an actor and put themselves out there.
Do you have a recommendation when it comes to like text? So let's say that you're an actor, you're a creative. I'm going to say creative since you like the word actor. You're a creative and you want to perform and you want to show your skill set. I see that a lot of people utilize like theater text and put it on tape and without understanding that text is specifically written to be performed on an open stage versus, a lot of, film to TV text is written very differently in many ways. When I saw the piece that you showed me that you shot for theater, like I loved what you did and I felt like I was there and I was living it as the Yago piece. Yeah. And because you understand the film technique, you understand the performance elements of it. But for people who are trying to bring theater text on a camera and maybe shoot something similarly, what would you recommend in terms of modifying it?
I'm definitely going to repeat myself, but
no, it's fine. Tell the truth. No,
yeah, absolutely. It's that. So we shot. I'm sure you'll find a link to it somewhere. We shot a Iago piece of speech from Othello, and we decided really early on when we were talking about it that what he was doing was he was talking to his own ego. And if you're talking to your own ego, the only thing that is different from doing that in the theatre and doing it on screen is he can genuinely just talk to himself as if he's right there. You know, with speeches and things like that, so you've got to cast your audience. I think, are you talking to your conscience? Are you talking to you know, a religious figure? Are you talking to, who are you talking to? You've always got to cast that audience. The audience just becomes the camera, you know, or somebody just off camera, but you've always got to know who you're talking to. So actually, I really don't see a distinction. The only distinction is when you're filming, it takes a lot longer.
It's true.
Yeah.
Very true. Because I know some teachers here, one of my mentors, he's very adamant about when you're filming yourself and if you're doing like a theater audition, because I've had a few theater auditions via self-tape over the last couple of years, just being conscious of that, because it's not, when you book it and you're performing it, it's not going to be the same as doing a self-tape. So it's interesting to hear your perspective.
I think if I'm seeing that a lot of people coming into to take theatre auditions here, you play that job, and you play that part. You know, so if you know it's going to be in the Albert Hall, you play the Albert Hall. You don't worry about the camera. That's my job. I'll shoot it wider. You know, to accommodate your performance. You when you're approaching an audition, you play that audition. You know, and the fact that it's a camera watching you as opposed to a pair of eyes shouldn't make any difference, really. Because I've gone into the room for theatre auditions for big theatre jobs, and the room's the size of a postage stamp. So you know, you still have to deliver. So you shouldn't really worry about that. Play the part, tell the truth, play the audition you're going to. And you know, if it's a bigger performance, shoot it wider. If it's a smaller performance, come in tighter.
I think those are some really great tips. I'm so happy to see what you are doing. So we talked about your coaching, which is badass. You said you didn't look badass before. You with your quarantine beard, you look badass.
I'm quite enjoying having the beard, really. I even bought myself a beard brush earlier. I've never had a beard brush before.
We're all going to look different. All of our headshots are going to completely change when this is over. So you talked about your coaching and your career development and obviously the self-tape. You did mention you have classes though. So aside from classes, or maybe more classes, what do you have next going on for STAC and for yourself?
I lecture at quite a few of the drama schools and some of the universities around the UK. Another one of the things that I do. And so I'm, over the next few weeks, I'm going to be putting some of my lectures on camera so that students can access them without having to hire me without the college having to hire me in, because they can't do that at the moment. But people are graduating real soon in the UK, you know, and they've spent 3 years doing these, you know, degree courses, and they're going to be leaving without the things that I normally tell them, and I think the things that I normally tell them are quite important. So I'm going to be putting all that on camera and sending it off to them to make sure that they're coming out prepared, because I think we will be kickstarting this industry this year. And so if all the graduates are coming out in July in the UK, we need to make sure that they're firing and ready to go, because when this all kicks off again, when we start again, when we get the green light and go, they are still going to be the newbies. They're still going to be the fresh meat, as it were, and which is a really exciting time for a young actor. Really exciting, because nobody's expecting you to have loads of material. So I want to make sure that they're ready to go out there and attack the industry. The young actors I've been seeing at drama schools this year are so exciting, really exciting. Awesome. Young actors coming through. I'm working with a young lad at the moment on something I'm directing a piece from Julius Caesar, and the idea for one of the regional theatres was that they're pairing a seasoned actor with somebody just graduating from drama school.
Oh, wow.
Give this graduate a bit of a showcase, and so I'm directing a piece with a more seasoned actor and a lad who's just come out of one of the drama schools, and he's doing great. He's doing great. So we're going to be shooting that. Well, they're going to be shooting that next week on their phones, sending it to me to put it together before we put it out there.
What an amazing opportunity. That's unbelievable.
It's really cool, and he's really stepped up to it. You'd think he was the seasoned pro. So, yeah, it's great.
Great. So you have a lot to offer, which I think is beautiful. It's kind of great you have so many different skill sets coming out of STAC. Where can people find more about you? We're going to plug everything over here, but I want to hear straight from you. Where can people find out more about you?
About me or about STAC?
Both. I want both. They might want to be like your best friend on Facebook. I don't know.
Right. Well, my name's Richard Corgan. You can find me on Insta and Twitter, but that's probably less interesting than finding STAC. So STAC, you will find us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and it's at LDN Self-Tape, as in LDN as in short for London, at LDN Self-Tape. Or if you just type in STAC, STAC, you'll find it there too. And you can keep abreast of what we're doing. Now, we've spoken about this before, Jordan. I'm not the world's greatest at social media.
we're gonna help with that. It's fine. I'm gonna come in.
So I have to admit that the feeds are a little quiet at the moment, but you can certainly drop me a message and ask me a question. I'm always happy to sort of help out if I can.
Great. And is there anything else you want people to know? Or one more tidbit, tell the truth. We're going to have a huge, I'm just going to cover this whole video to tell the truth. Anything else you want to say to our viewers and anyone out there during this time?
I want to say, let's just pull together. We'll get through it. We'll be back. That's the thing about art. It never goes away. We'll get through it together, help each other out. We all need to help each other out. This can be a very competitive industry, and that's the ugly side of it. Let's show each other and everyone else the lovely side of it, and that's us all scratching each other's backs, cheering each other on, and coming out of this in a really strong place.
Amazing. Well, I am so happy to know you, and I appreciate all that you're doing. It's been great to watch everything that you guys have been growing since I met you, and I look forward to doing more with you. Thank you so much for coming. And this is Jordan Elizabeth Gelber with the Bold and Blonde update, even though I'm pink.